Hi, my name is Kelly Frantz-Langford, and this is my case study for EDL 850. We're going to begin with a synthesis of the facts. So, in an attempt to save money and also provide students with access to technology, a teacher has made and distributed CDs with downloaded software. The people that we know are involved are the teachers, potentially members of the PTA, and students. There appear to be two factions, although it's hard to say how many people are involved with each side. One faction believes that they found an economical solution that also gives their students access by copying the software programs and distributing through the classroom. We know that there are a group of teachers that feel this way, and it's been reported that the PTA president is also pleased with this solution. The second faction believes that copyright laws have been violated, and so regardless of whether students or benefit, the copyright law should supersede any decision to distribute the software. There are both legal and ethical issues that need to be considered. First, for the legal issues, there are definite copyright laws that have been violated. So if we applied the fair use test, we would understand that a copyright law has been violated because by distributing or by copying the entire software program and distributing it, the software program represents the entirety of the work and also prevents the owner from receiving fair compensation. It would be prudent to double check the copyright laws. As a principle, I would definitely do that because we do know that different types of copyrights can give permission to do different things, and we would want to double check to see if software replication was allowed, particularly if we were able to seek permission from the owner and then duplicate the software. There could also be policy violations. So two areas of school governance that need to be considered are, first of all, whether the software was purchased using an E-rate and whether the school has an internet safety policy in place. And then also, it does not appear that the school has either an acceptable use policy or a copyright policy, both which would govern and improve management in this situation. There are certainly ethical issues involved as well, knowing that a copyright law has been violated, and also knowing that the principal should be the one to model and demonstrate ethical behavior for the staff and students at all times. So, the decision whether to allow the continued practice of distributing copyrighted material to save money and allow students immediate access to the software needs to be made. Some of the other facts to consider, again, the people. We know that Mrs. Lynn, who's the librarian or media specialist, is involved and is very proud of her solution. Teachers seem to be divided and on both sides of the issue. We know possibly members of the PTA might have strong feelings about it. We do know the president was pleased with the solution, but we don't know the depth of that sentiment. And we also know that students will be involved because access to technology is extremely important in this day and age. And we know that the community is involved as well because any budgetary issues or any violations of the law will definitely impact a community that's working hard to support their school. This is a rural school, and we know that a significant amount of their budget is reliant on two fundraisers that are supported by the community. It's a K through 8 with 420 students, 2 teachers per grade, 2 SPED teachers, 1 librarian and media specialist, 1 computer lab with 20 computers. It is unclear how many students are impacted by the software or the lack of software. So if we look at stakeholder interest, in addition to an ethical dilemma, we know that copyright violations could be extremely costly, specifically because at this point, they would be it's a decision that's knowingly being done, and if it were to be sanctioned by the principal or other administrators, a hefty fine could ensue. We also know that by making this decision, we could be limiting student access to technology. Another concern is that we could be frustrating PTA members that work very hard and have a direct impact on the budget of school. And we also know that we would not, that we are going to be adding an element of frustration for the teachers who really want that access for their students for all the right reasons. But there is some missing information we need to consider. First, as I mentioned earlier, we would definitely need to take a closer look at the type of copyright law in place and whether we could request permission to duplicate the software, which would make decisions a lot easier. We're missing information on the district policies around acceptable use and staff knowledge of copyright laws. And we're also missing a direct conversation with the PTA president in order to understand how that person truly feels about the issue. And finally, we're missing information on how many students are impacted by not having the software. So we have some options, and they range from allowing the duplication to continue. So students would have continued access, but of course this is illegal and unethical. The next option is we could move forward with the principal's decision to destroy all of the copies and then just build additional software into the budget. So now we have a lawful and ethical decision, but it could take years in order to budget those funds. We could seek permission from the owner to make duplications, which would be the cheapest and also allow the equitable access to technology. However, it could take a while to get an answer on that. And then the last one is we could destroy the copies and bring the PTA and school staff together to brainstorm options for purchasing the software, which acknowledges the issue and also distributes leadership and improves problem solving. Of course, the cost would be that it could overextend the community and may cause more division amongst staff. I would start with the option of, first of all, communicating with the staff and acknowledging their efforts to give students access to technology. But I would cover copyright law and how this presents a dilemma, an ethical dilemma and a legal dilemma for our school. So I would request that those copies be destroyed, but I would also seek permission from the owner to see if duplication is possible, to see if there's a bulk rate that we're missing, or basically just to see what our options are there. And then I would feel like I would be respecting the concerns and hard work of the staff and also respecting the PTA around their fundraisers and initiatives while presenting a legal and ethical solution. So the first thing is that I would ask for a staff meeting or in some way communicate that with the staff, both acknowledging and explaining the copyright law and acknowledging the error and not having a clear policy on that. I would go ahead and send the request to the owner, and then I would look at our current operating system to see if there was any room for improvement. I know that that's a long shot to get owner permission to duplicate it, but it does seem like it could possibly be the easiest solution. The other one is just to look to see if there are other management changes and allowing students more access to the technology. I would be notifying the superintendent because we know a copyright law was violated, and also to discuss policies that might help prevent this in the future. I would definitely notify staff of my decision, and I would have a conversation with at least the president of the PTA, and then from that decide if I needed to have a conversation with the larger group, just because I know they're also impacted by the decision. My plan B, which actually seems like the more likely scenario, would be to develop a leadership team consisting of teachers, parents, PTA members, and somebody in IT to discuss both current data and long-term planning around software needs. So these are my references, and I appreciate your time.